Well, good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. Many of you are here because you know someone with multiple sclerosis. Some of you are here because you have MS. And some of you may be here because of the beautiful yet challenging ride. And a lot of you may be here for all those reasons. But tonight I want to share with you my story and why this ride is more than just a simple weekend for me. On May 31st, 2008, I experienced the best day of my life. I was married to my husband, Brian. Now, one of the pieces of advice that brides always seem to get on their wedding day is that the first year is the hardest. Well, needless to say, we turned that into a huge understatement. Less than 3 months later, on August 26, 2008, I experienced the worst day of my life. I was diagnosed with MS. I remember exactly where I was, exactly how I felt, and exactly what my first thought was. What now? I saw my life flash before my eyes, which is something no 26-year-old should ever experience. My mind flashed what my next plans would be. I started thinking what it would be like to be in a wheelchair, what it would be like if my husband had to take care of me, and began to wonder how this would affect the rest of my life. I asked myself if I would ever be able to become a mother, graduate college like I planned, or even be able to work. Until then, my only experience with MS was the 2 family members that I had who I knew that had the disease. A distant cousin of mine named Mary has MS, and she's been diagnosed since 1980. My whole life, I remember her in a wheelchair. She told me that when she was first diagnosed, her only treatment option was chemotherapy, and that was experimental. She declined due to the possibility of severe side effects. Now she's extremely limited in her mobility and is unable to use her legs. My great-great-grandfather, who passed away when I was 9, also had MS. He was in a wheelchair for many years and lived until he was 99. I'm thankful that my grandmother remembers him and the positive attitude that he had, even when faced with MS. She told me that there were many times when he would fall down and he would simply laugh and get back up. I'm thankful for that attitude because that's how I've been attempting to live my life, falling, smiling, and getting back up. When I received my diagnosis in 2008, there were 4 different treatments that I could choose from, and they all involved shots. That's 4 more than Mary or my great-great-grandfather had. However, today, thanks to incredible amounts of time and research, there are 10, which include pills, and more are being researched every day. It's because of you and your outstanding work that the research is happening and continuing to happen. That doesn't mean this road has been easy. There's pain, muscle spasms, and severe fatigue, mostly unexpected, that accompany an already difficult diagnosis. I've had my share of stares and whispers when I use my handicap parking tag to save some steps to the store or to my clinic appointments when I'm tired or hurting. One incident that sticks in my mind happened to me in March of 2012. In the middle of an MS relapse, I just finished 3 doses of a strong steroid, Solu-Medrol, when my leg decided it didn't want to work. The best way to describe it was the feeling of a cement block around my ankle, and I was expected to walk with it. And I'm guessing some of you bikers know exactly what that means right now. My neurologist, seeing how bad I was walking, ordered 2 more doses of steroids. This wasn't a surprise, but it was not something that I wanted to do. Steroids make me very sick and keep me out of work for a few days. It's an unfortunate sacrifice I have to make to allow my body to heal itself. I was walking back out to my car when a man, probably in his 40s or 50s, looked at me and said, "Wow, looks like you're really trying to take it easy today." And it wasn't his words, but it was the way that he said them, condescending and cold, that hurt. I got into my car and collapsed into tears. At the time, it was 3 years of frustration, anger, and hurt that rolled out of me. Why can't people just understand? Why can't they stop judging me? And why can't I just be normal? Those are thoughts that echoed in my head at that time. And truthfully, those are questions that will never be answered. I can only hope that by sharing my story, people realize that this disease isn't something that's just in a person's head, that they aren't just make-believe symptoms. This is a real, often debilitating disease that affects not only a person, but an entire family. But there are some good things that have come out of this diagnosis. And I feel that Bruce Lee said it best when he said, "To understand your fear is the beginning of really seeing." I fight this battle because I don't want the fear of finding myself in a wheelchair. I don't want the fear of telling my future children why mommy is too tired to play. I don't want the fear of sadness in my husband's eyes or the eyes of my parents because they can't take my pain away. MS has given me something that I never expected, the will to fight. The will to fight for myself and for others who are affected by this disease. But because of these real fears, I've come to see life in an entirely different way. Because of that fight, I've achieved more in these past 5 years than I thought was possible. I traveled to Washington, D.C. to campaign for additional funds for research on Capitol Hill. My MS Walk team has raised over $5,000 in 5 years for MS research. And I've met countless others with this disease who have inspired me. And on a personal level, I graduated college with summa cum laude honors last summer and am now in school for a master's degree. I still hold a full-time job and work, coincidentally, in research.